we see that the streets are unsafe. Our daughters do not feel safe walking down the streets. Our streets no longer have the same colors and the same smells. We have a commitment to the middle and workers class, to those who suffer the consequences of the relocation of companies, of the massive importation of agricultural or industrial products, those who suffer the consequences of mass immigration or the totalitarian content in the social media. The question is what they call populism is a new form of conservatism. For me, is the question. And I will not waste your time. Clear, in my opinion, is no. No. There are clearly two populisms, a left-wing populism linked to socialism, which applies the old doctrine of class struggle to sex, race, disabilities, anything that divides the nation. This populism is globalist. Its main tool are the international organizations, NGOs, and official and public international organizations. There is another populism linked to national political tradition that wants to rebuild strong ideas, what has been demolished, but not to return to the last decade, to last century or 2 centuries ago, but to give back to the people what belongs to them: freedom, prosperity, family, nation, and a homeland that protects them. We must bear in mind that conservatism is not an ideology, and neither are these populisms. Consequently, it is very difficult to conclude a similarity or succession of ideas between one and the other. The world is changing rapidly. However, in the political world, since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet regime, we have been living under a false appearance of no change. But it was only an appearance, because in reality what has happened is that social democracy has been imposed all over the world without a fight, without a discussion. We have seen how the World Economic Forum, where the mega rich met and make decisions, has been presenting Xi Jinping as an example of the new capitalism. And conservatives they are in this economic forum. Classical conservatism was about reading Chesterton and Burke and even Stefan Zweig and defend different key of bourgeois life, local commerce, Sunday mass, or singing contracts with a handshake. Okay, but that work was disturbed by or after the Second World War. The technological revolution, international organizations, and the brutal alliance of the economic, political, financial, and media elites against citizens are realities that conservatism and even the classical liberalism neither knew or know how to deal with. These elites, whether American, European, or Chinese, have more in common with each other than with their citizens. And we know perfectly in Brussels, in the European Parliament. But they have left millions of people as losers in their social and cultural model. It is true that all good things are still valid. Family, nation, sovereignty, freedom, prosperity. Okay. And they are valid because they are permanent. In Spain, we say eternal values. But the new movements no longer want to preserve anything because there is very little to preserve. It's no longer a question of protecting the family, but of raising the enthusiasm in the young people for having good families, strong families, families with many children. It is no longer a question of defending local business against the big companies because they are no longer any local businesses in our cities. We see that the streets are unsafe. Our daughters do not feel safe walking down the streets. Our streets no longer have the same colors and the same smells. Cities smell different in Europe. Low wages, insecure jobs, high taxes, and a massive influx of imported products. Elites who scare you with climate change, but giving to Islam and a law, Sharia law, to be imposed in some neighborhoods and in some cities in Europe. The situation, in my opinion, is so critical that we are no longer on the defensive. And conservatism has been on the defensive. We are on the reconquista. This is the main difference from what they call the new right-wing populism. We have no intention of reaching compromises with elites. We have a commitment to the middle and workers class, to those who suffer the consequences of the relocation of companies, of the massive importation of agricultural or industrial products, those who suffer the consequences of mass immigration or the totalitarian content in the social media. It's no longer, in my opinion, a question of conservation. It is a question of reconquering, of changing everything, from the rules of international trade to asylum regulation. And we are closer to reaction. We are closer to counter-revolution than to conservatism. I think it is the future. Future belongs to those who understand the present, and the present has changed. And I think this is our challenge. I don't know if all the conservative people is say, thinking, wow, but it's my personal opinion. Thank you very much to MCC. Thank you very much.